Hello and welcome to Whisky Sisters podcast. I am Inka Larissa.
And I am Jennifer Rose.
Together we will bring you a monthly whiskey podcast where we will be discovering drams, exploring distilleries and talking to industry experts and catching up with our whiskey pals.
We will be sharing exciting whiskey adventures, sticking our noses into some whiskey news, keeping our drams on fire, of course, and cutting through any industry bullshit. So, buckle up and enjoy the ride.
A warm Whisky Sisters welcome.
Welcome, listeners. Today we will be covering Scotland's Independent Farm Distilleries with Dram On Fire focusing on Lochlea and Ballindalloch.
And Whisky Sisters Whisky Pal feature is back, and we have Nicola McRedmond from Drinkability.
Before we go any further, I wanted to just say, do you remember in the last episode, we talked very positively about Rasi, but then I did say a few comments about my previous visit. How everyone's young and they maybe needed like a little,
and putting the daggers in.
Yeah, so it was actually good. They contacted me and asked for more information and just wanted more details about the experience and things that I thought that maybe could be improved. So I thought it was really nice. And then I sent them some of my feedback and they are already making changes anyway. Like they will be now all year round, like a manager at all times, basically. Because they obviously need to have a lot of seasonal staff in the summer, especially.
Sure.
So at least now there will be someone who's there all year round on all aspects of the company. So like different parts have different managers. So that's really good. It's nice to hear because I think that's exactly what they needed. And it's nice that they're actually now just doing that as well.
And very nice and gracious that they reached out and wanted that extra feedback. But if anybody's been sacked from Rasi, it's Inka's fault.
Oh no, don't say that. So have you tried any interesting whiskies since we last spoke? Or
I've
revisited anything?
I've been in Ireland recently and I was drinking some Jamesons. Is that how you say it? Or Jamesons?
I think I would have said Jamesons.
I have a tendency to say Jamesons, but I think it's Jamesons. So that's all I was really drinking over there.
Oh yeah? Any did you try different ones?
No, just your good old bog standard. Give me that. Keep it nice and simple, I thought. Yep, I was just I just thought I'll keep it simple on my wee trip to Galway recently. What about you? What have you been sipping?
Well, I sipped the new Ardbeg cask strength 10-year-old, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And I'm going to try the 10-year-old, the classic one, side by side, just to see how they differ. But I will send you some samples. I actually thought that we could do an episode at some point, like maybe in the summer, of random samples, because I get sent so many things and a lot of good ones, like for example that Ardbeg, and we could have can't think of anything right now.
I have some other random ones.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, loads of different just bits and bobs that we don't necessarily do a one episode about a certain distillery, but just more what's been released this year or something like that.
I like it.
But yeah, I did a tasting that had loads of different random whiskies. It was mainly just focusing about the tasting notes and the aromas and stuff, just showcasing how different whiskies can be. And one of them was Michter's.
Oh, yeah.
You know that one, the Kentucky straight rye.
Uh-huh, yeah. Is it
I
nice?
always thought it's called Michter's, but then I was looking at the label and it's actually Michter's. The T is later. I don't actually know how do you say it.
Michter's.
Yeah. You're saying it like a Scottish one, but I think it's it's from Kentucky.
Michter's.
Yeah.
But was it nice?
Surprised.
Did you like it?
I liked it. I didn't expect that I would like it, but I actually really enjoyed it. So I thought, maybe I need to, that's kind of category that I need to dive more deeper into.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Kentucky Bourbon Trail in your future?
That would be fun. I wouldn't say no to it.
That would be fun.
Yeah, I've tried a few different ones. I'm sure we'll be talking about some of them in future podcasts. Also, you know what? I was entering us to the Scottish Podcast Awards, and they wanted like up to 20 minutes of clips from up to 3 episodes. So like I had to choose 3 episodes and then take little clips, like anything, just short, like a minute or 10 minutes and stuff. I was surprised. I don't know why I was surprised. That's kind of a stupid thing to say. But I was really enjoying listening to us, like the old episodes, because they could be like all the way from that back to 2014.
That's cool.
So it was actually really fun. I'm like, oh yeah, we're quite funny sometimes.
Check us out. So I wonder do you know the format with that? Are they like shortlisting to a certain amount and then doing it to a public vote or whatever? Or
I entered us into the food and drink, or was it drink? I can't remember what the category was. But anyway, like a certain category, and then there will be one is like you can vote. That will be just with the judges, and then there will be people's vote, and then like one that the judges think is like the best podcast or something like that.
Very nice. Open to bribes.
Yeah.
Stick your nose in it.
So the Dalmore's reimagined brand home will welcome guests from the 27th of April this year. The brand has said that it will not be a typical whisky visitor centre, and instead the guest experience will showcase the Dalmore's passion for design with intent and consideration at every point, offering a blend of elevated storytelling and guided whisky tastings that extend beyond the core range.
Sounds very fancy, eh?
Very fancy. And I'm wondering how different it'll actually be.
I know, we need to go.
Yeah. Each guest will receive an entirely private and bespoke experience, liaising with the Dalmore's concierge to personalise their visit prior to arrival. So that sounds very snazzy, doesn't it? Very high end. All tour guests will receive carefully curated refreshments and canapes on arrival, plus the opportunity to savour 3 single malt whiskies from the Dalmore's principal collection, as well as Distillery Select limited editions. An exclusive priority booking window for the brand experience will be open to the members of the Dalmore Guild on Thursday, the 26th of March. Oh, exciting and fancy.
I know. I got that email actually, but it's too difficult to go now. But I think at some point it would be nice to visit.
Do you think our bespoke canapes on arrival would be like jelly babies and cheese puffs or something?
Yeah, I think they'll have like caviar and
cured meat.
Like or like elk or like a reindeer meat or something. Not reindeer meat. That's Finnish, but you know what I mean? That kind of style, like venison. That's the one I was thinking.
That's the one.
Also, Islay Distillery, Bruichladdich, is marking 25 years since the resurrection with a 10-year-old single malt called Old Skool, like with like SKOOL. And the bottle was inspired by a retro Bruichladdich labels of the 1980s. It's very cute.
No, you can't beat the 80s.
Yeah, exactly. It is the first of 3 limited edition anniversary bottlings that will be released this year. And it was distilled using 100% Islay grown malting barley, which goes very well with this episode today. They are using barley from 14 local growers, all located within 9-mile radius of the distillery. So I'm sure one of them would be Kilhome, and you'd think, I wonder. The distillery pioneered the first trial of Islay grown barley in 2004, reintroducing the grain back to the island. Bottled at 50% ABV, the single malt was primarily matured in American oak bourbon casks with small parcel first fill Satanus cask. Yum.
Very nice. That sounds nice.
I don't think there was that many news or that nothing too interesting this month. Lots of like new bottle releases and stuff. I thought we've got enough to talk about. Let's just dive deeper into the farm distillery straight away.
Let's do it.
Whisky Sisters!
So there's a growing number of independent, often family-run distilleries in Scotland, and quite a few of them are working farms that grow the grain for their own whiskey, which is very nice. They oversee every stage of the production, from tending the fields to bottling the spirit. Some of them even do floor malting, which is a nice touch. So rather than chasing volume, they focus on the quality of the ingredients and they produce only what their land can naturally support. And a lot of these are fairly new players as well. So like Lochlea, Ballindalloch, Aberargie, Balmode. And then, of course, our biggie, Duffmill and Kilchoman. Although Kilchoman is not a single estate distillery, as the distillery use their own barley for only their 100% Islay releases. The barley for the rest of their whiskey come from the mainland. They can grow up to 404 tons of barley annually on the fields around the distillery.
Do you know, I can't help thinking of like farms and whiskey and not think about Waterford. I know that wasn't a single estate distillery, but it just makes me think of Waterford and I get a tiny bit.
I know, it is so sad.
And there are a few more independent distilleries using local grain. They differ from the ones you mentioned because they don't actually own the farms, but they work closely with the local farmers who supply the malt and barley from the fields surrounding the distillery. King's Barns, that we've spoke about in the podcast before, located near St Andrews, a good example of this. Originally an agricultural settlement, the name King's Barns comes from the location of the barns that were used to store grain. And the family doesn't own any of the farmland, nor do they do any of the actual farming, but their single malt are made using the barley surrounding the distillery.
And then there's Inchdarney in Fife, and they use local grains but don't own the farms. And the distillery was founded in 2011 and has been distilling since 2015. Its focus is on extracting maximum flavor through innovative methods. The distillery was literally built around a mash filter, which was installed before the walls and the roof went up. Dedication for flavor extraction.
Definitely.
So this unusual system allows greater flavor extractions, higher sugar yield, and the ability to handle wider range of grain types. So I definitely want to try them as well, because I feel like when you're doing all that effort, you're really hyping up the flavor and like there will be higher expectations.
Yeah, definitely. Putting some pressure on yourself. Must be confident. Aberargie Distillery have just brought out their inaugural whisky release, as many of you may have seen all over social media. It is an independent distillery owned by the Morrison family. It's a true single estate distillery, as the barley varieties used for their whisky making are grown on the family farm. That's 300 acres, located just south of Perth. And they use two varieties, Golden Promise and Laureate. Golden Promise barley is a heritage variety known for its full-bodied profile, buttery texture and oily richness. Once it was widely used in the 1960s by distilleries such as the Macallan, and Golden Promise is now a rarity in modern Scotch production, favoured only by distillers who choose flavour over yield. The team also grows Laureate barley, a modern, high-performing variety selected for its clean, bright spirit yield and reliability in Scottish growing conditions. By combining both strains, the distillery ensures a balanced, structured and flavour-forward whisky. I love the thought of high-performing barley. Do you know, like the athletes, all weathers.
You know, the Morrison family used to own the Bowmore.
I was going to say, I feel we've spoken about the Morrison family a lot.
Yeah. It took them 9 years to release the whiskey. I have a wee sample, which actually could go on that episode that was mentioned earlier, like random whiskey samples, so we could sample that.
The Random Smash episode.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Have you heard of Balmode?
No.
Oh, I love their social media. I found them just randomly on Instagram, and their social media is like done so nicely that I really want to go and visit them once.
Like beautiful images?
Yeah, and it's really like just nice, like refreshing style. And yeah, it's kind of inviting.
Whisky Sisters.
Balmode is a New Highland single estate distillery. They want to combine tradition and innovation by using modern distilling technology with a sustainable infrastructure. Oh, big words for my wee Finnish mouth. And having complete control of the process from grain to glass. Their slogan is old school farmers, new school distillers.
Ooh.
The distillery have been farming barley for decades with over 1,750 acres across Aberdeenshire. The family is one of the most respected suppliers of malting barley. And now they are also using their barley to make their own whiskey. And the distillery is already in operation. However, the site remains under construction. Once fully finished, they will have plans to open tours, at least in some capacity. And currently there are over 2,000 barrels already quietly maturing in their on-site warehouse. The single malt will be unpeated and matured in first fill bourbon and ex Pedro Jimenez casks. The first whiskey will become available mid-2028, assuming they are happy with the results.
So we've talked about Ardbeg before. Ardbeg Distillery brought rye whisky making back to Scotland, and their inaugural whisky was the first Scottish rye for nearly 200 years. So if you want to learn more, rewind back to episode 50. You don't even rewind anymore. That's just me showing my analog age. Click on episode 50. So Daffmill is one of the lowest output distilleries in Scotland, with production of roughly 20,000 litres per year. And the distillery operates in harmony with the farm, where its main business is growing cereals, mainly malting barley and potatoes, and rearing beef cattle, and it also produces carrots and broccoli. I love broccoli.
Me too. Oh my God, I eat it all the time.
So good.
Yeah, like crunchy, not like, when it's overcooked, it's horrible.
So nice. The distillery operates on a seasonal basis around the farming calendar, which means it makes whisky when there's a quieter-ish period on farm work. When is there ever a quiet period in farm work? Farmers work their fingers to the frickin' bone. I've got a pal who's a farmer, and I don't think she's had a day off since the 80s.
Honestly. The old 80s.
always
life was so much better.
Back when you had a day off. Oh dear. Daffmill releases a winter batch and a summer batch, which are aged over 10 years, and these whiskies vary from release to release depending on the casks and the barley that they've used.
They used to sell out fast and often ended up in collectors' hands, although I've seen some bottles available online these days, so perhaps that's a reflection of the current times.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe even the prices might be going lower, so it's a good time to snag a bottle. Daffmill Distillery is built into an old mill building, which took a good couple of years to repair and convert into a distillery. The license was granted in 2005, which is when the distilling began. And unlike any other distillery, the beginning of their journey, Daffmill waited for 12 years before they released their first single malt. And all their releases since have been at least 10 years old, which the oldest I think was 15.
So they're not in a rush for anything?
No, I feel like it's just like a side hustle. The farming and all that is the main thing, and that's just the side hustle, like a hobby. Good hobby.
Yeah. So let's talk about Lochlea, whose samples we will be sipping soon. And Lochlea is based in the heart of Ayrshire. Initially, it was a dairy farm, and therefore it changed to farming pedigree beef cattle, and from 2015 onwards, they have been growing malting barley. And once they mastered the barley bit, they were ready to embark on a new project, distillation of single malt from their very own barley. Construction started in 2017, and the license was granted the following year. And this distillery was made using existing farm buildings such as a piggery byre and cattle sheds. As a farm distillery, Lochlea is heavily focused on sustainability throughout their practices. The straw left after harvesting the barley is baled and used by neighbouring farmers for winter cattle bedding. It later returns to the farm as nutrient-rich farmyard manure, which is spread in the fields before ploughing to boost the soil health, organic matter and aeration. And also after the barley is harvested, they grow mustard and radish as cover crops to improve the soil and prevent erosion. The pot ale is used to generate electricity at a biogas plant, and spent lees are filtered through on an on-site treatment pond. And the draft feeds the cattle, and solar panels are used on-site for electricity. So that is impressive, I would say.
Definitely. I think that's a lot of these, with these independent distilleries or the farm distilleries, they are really focusing on the sustainability, and because they are newer distilleries, it's probably been easier to plan everything from the get-go rather than the older ones kind of struggling to fit all these new things into their old distilleries. The distillery has recently launched its official core range with 4 releases, all with variety of cask combinations from bourbon to Calvados. All this release outside the core range is 7 years at the moment. So here's a fun fact for you as well about Lochlea. The Scottish national poet Robert Burns once worked the farms and called Lochlea his home. This was from 1777 until his father's death in 1784.
Sexy and a poet. Doom, 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 doom. So he's been frisky in those fields that the very barley is coming from, that's going into the whiskey.
Yeah.
So it's got romance in its DNA.
Definitely. So are you familiar with Ballindalloch Castle? Have you been there?
No.
I've been there. It's really nice. The gardens are amazing.
Where's it near?
Somewhere in Speyside. I can't remember.
Okay.
Don't ask me that.
I'm a West Coast gal, so I'm not that great with the Speyside,
I feel like I was near like the River Tay, Cranton. I feel like I was staying in Cranton on Spey when I visited the Ballindalloch Castle. So I don't know if it was like on the way or...
Okay.
Yeah. So the Ballindalloch Distillery is built on an old farmsteading, which is part of the fabulous Ballindalloch Highland Estate that includes castle, gardens, golf course, holiday lets, and a farm. The estate owners were considering a range of ideas for it. Finally, in 2011, they decided on a distillery. However, it took some time to repair the building, which dates back to 1848. So you can imagine it was in a state. This was nice, actually. With the help of the local craftsmen, they gave new life to the building, renovating everything from the stonework, the slate roof, and the woodwork inside the building. So I love that they used local.
Yeah, that's cool.
People who are like really know all their craft, that kind of old style design. So it's really good. So yeah, they started distilling in 2015. Obviously, Speyside is packed with distilleries, most of them large-scale operations owned by huge corporations. So Ballindalloch was always set out to do things differently. From start, the vision was a small-scale grain-to-glass distillery rooted in the rhythms of the estate. They are growing their own barley and feeding the draft back to their estate cattle. And like, similarly to Lochlea, basically, all the kind of similar steps they take care of.
I imagine if you're a cow, you would just love that and it'd be so delicious.
I know. And imagine just hanging out with that kind of backdrop of castles and gardens and smelling the whiskies. They're probably all a little bit
happy.
Yeah. They grow laureate spring barley. A 2-year crop rotation allows fields to lie fallow, with Aberdeen Angus cattle returning to the land to further enrich the soil nutrition. So healthier soil produces the next barley crop, completing a true circular estate economy. This is not the first time, though, that Ballindalloch Estate tried their hand in whiskey making. Their distilling dates back to early 1820s. However, today the distilling remains modest compared to the giants of the region, with around 100,000 litres a year.
Woo! And the estate has remained in the Macpherson Grant family for centuries. In 1499, King James the IV. Is that 5?
No, that's 4.
I don't know my Roman numerals.
V is 5, and so if the I or the 1 is on the other side, doesn't that mean 4?
I've no idea. I'm going to trust you on this one. King James IV granted the lands of Ballindalloch and Glencairn to John Grant of Frushi as a thank you for his service. Later, in the 1540s, John Grant's grandson built the castle at Ballindalloch. From then on, different generations farmed the land and took care of the Aberdeen Angus cattle. Now the oldest herd in the world. So cute.
Oh,
I love cows so much.
So cute.
I know, but I do still eat beef, so that's very contradictory. I might give up. I know, but a steak is good, isn't it?
Yeah.
As the years went by, the estate had to shift with the times. From the late 1970s onwards, Claire Macpherson Grant and her husband Oliver Russell expanded the estate into forestry, then to tourism and to country sports, from golf to fishing. And now their son and his wife have begun distilling single malt at the estate. All these changes ensure the future of the Ballindalloch Highland Estate that sounds ultra wholesome.
Another distillery that you just want to go and visit, our listeners, honestly, especially if you're coming like from the US or somewhere further afield, and everyone always goes to Speyside because there's, Callan and all these other ones that people want to go and see. Honestly, make a pit stop at Ballindalloch because it's just so different. and you get the whole castle experience. You get the whole Scottish experience in one.
Absolute lucky buggers that are born into that lineage stuff and just inherit distilleries and whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not a covetous person, but I do think lucky buggers.
I don't know. I can't imagine that life.
Dram On Fire.
Okay, let's start with Lochlea. We have the whole core range given to us, but I think it will be too many if we try all of them today. So let's focus on 2. I made the decision after tasting all of them. So I chose the best ones. I chose the best ones that I like the most. So Orchard and Oak, we will try that. And then also the Dark Briar. So just quick, the core range includes our barley, which is first fill bourbon, Oloroso, and STR, which made me think of Lindor's Abbey, actually. But I have to say, Lindor's Abbey is better. Sorry. And then the Orchard and Oak is first fill bourbon, Virgin Oak, and Calvados. Dark Briar is PX, Oloroso, and Port. And finally, Smoke Without Fire, XP refill bourbon, and red wine. And these are all bottled at 46% ABV.
Thank you, Lochlea.
I just wonder, I don't know if you had time to try the Our Barley as well, but I feel like I just don't quite understand why they have that, because I think the Orchard and Oak should be the starting point for the core. Yeah, I just don't, I'm sorry, but Our Barley just fell short for me.
I've only nosed it. Disclaimer, I am recovering from a cold and my nose is fairly defunct today, so I'm sniffing.
We'll see how you get on.
I'm sniffing my heart out, but not much happening here.
We can, we can come back to it another time, like when you had a chance to try it as well, so we can refer back to this episode. But
yeah,
I wouldn't say it's bad. I guess not. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that kind of style that it's super fragrant, floral, lots of fragrant pears and pear brandy or something like that. That is just not my cup of tea at all. But if
I
you
quite
really
like pear flavors,
so you might then like it. But I just can't get on board with 2 floral fragrant whiskies. Yeah. So if that's your jam, then definitely try it.
Lochlea, see, when my nose is in action, I'll give Our Barley a right good sniff.
We'll come back to it. Okay, let me just quickly pour a wee. Very much butterscotch on the nose, apple cider, and those Creek Philo pastries, rolls with spinach, feta, like that kind of buttery or like a really oily pastry. I don't know. It's just almost, it's like the combination of that spinach and some spices and herbs that they put in.
See, I really struggled in the nose with my blocked nose. I found it quite outdoorsy and silagey. And I thought, is it fermented like kimchi? And I thought maybe some green apples, but that's as far as I got.
Yeah, I can get on board with. I think your nose you've got excellent nose anyway and taste buds. So I think you're doing fine. On the palate, apples, green. There's definitely a green grassy note, fresh herbs. Again, quite floral and fragrant, kind of fresh. This time I was thinking, I wrote apple brandy, and then I was like, isn't apple brandy Calvados? So it's basically they use Calvados cask, so that's what I'm tasting. But there is kind of maybe then after a while a little bit of vanilla, some sort of sugary, syrupy something. But yeah, what did you get? Anything? I'm just gonna have another sip and see.
Maybe on the palate, kind of fennelish.
Yeah, there's definitely. I would say there's some herbs there.
Quite herby. And then I was guessing pear, maybe, because I was getting a sort of fruitiness and I guessed pear. But it was quite strong on the herby front for me.
Yeah, I actually get more pears this time than yesterday. I was getting more apples. Interesting. But it's still, again, on that kind of floral or a fragrant side, perfumed side for me on the palate as well. But it's definitely, I prefer this to the Our Barley. The finish, I would say it was shorter. The other one had quite long finish. This one is a bit shorter, maybe mediumish. Oaky, cereal, and kind of, after you've had a buttery pastry and just aftermath in your mouth.
You feel happy because you've had a buttery pastry.
Yes. So
I reveal too much of my interpersonal weaknesses on this podcast.
I know. I feel like every time you had some sort of snack or like a sweet thing, you're happy. Although I love snacks, savory snacks.
Oh no, I love snacks. And apparently I shake my feet, like my toes go back and forth if my feet are up, and I have a little snack like a kid.
Yeah, I might have like a shoulder thing. Yeah. Moving on reasonably swiftly, because I don't want to make a super long episode for our listeners, because we will have a guest as well. So Darkbriar. Okay, this one is thinking. It made me think of this Finnish sweets, Assamix or Missax. I can't remember which way it was. But it's like this really kind of tiny sweets with loads of different flavors, including salty licorice. There's like a whole mix. Loads of dark berries on the nose and red fruits as well. Override berry juicy sweetness. I feel like the berries just intensify as it sits in the glass. There's fig jam, red grapes, dark gooseberries. Like there's a lot going on the nose. I'm really, really enjoying it.
Oh, bummer. I wish I could get all that in the nose. That sounds good. I can definitely be alongside all the dark fruits for sure. I'm getting a nice berry aroma and maybe like star anise.
I think this will definitely be something you like if you can't taste much now. I definitely recommend going back to it. So palate, dark fruits continues. Plums, prunes. Oh yeah, I was getting prunes on the nose as well. Cherries, blackberries, slightly kind of fizziness or something in it on the palate. Ginger spice. And all sorts of kind of purple sweets. You know, when you get like fruit drops and all these different ones, and always the red ones and the purple ones are the best.
The best.
Yeah, so it's like that flavor. Because it is also that sweetness of a candy. I'm also getting licorice, like sweet, like, proper traditional licorice. And some winter spices, maybe a bit more on the Finnish. Finnish also has a bit dark chocolate and treacle. Quite long finish as well.
So I'm enjoying sipping this, and I'm thinking, why are you enjoying sipping this? Because I'm not sure if I can discern what I'm tasting. But I definitely get a licoricey something.
Yeah.
Maybe a buttery something, and maybe a crisp apple something.
Yeah, there's definitely the orchard fruits also comes through a little bit. Not as strong as the other two, but for sure.
I'm still herby.
Are you?
Yes, but so I don't know if that's just me today.
Yeah, I'm not getting massively.
No.
I think it like winter spices, that kind of trying like cloves or something. No, but I like this one. It's probably my favorite of Lochlea.
And it's a nice colour. It's darker, right?
Yeah, lovely.
As the name would suggest.
The smoke without fire, I run out of glasses, so I'm not going to pour another one now, but we can talk about it another time. But that is obviously ex-peat refill bourbon and red wine. I was really baffled. I was trying to think which cask, whether it was like an Ardbeg cask, but it wasn't like super strong, or was it more like Ardmore or something like that. Again, I was like getting that pear brandy vibes on the palate, farm vibes on the nose. I liked it. But again, it's like why did I feel like the need to do a peated one? You know what I mean? Just stick to. I'm not like, I've said this before. I'm not like always the best fan of ex-peat casks. You know, my reference to use like fake designer handbags.
Yes.
But like I enjoy them, but then I just think it's not really that. Why don't you just do you? Don't try to. I don't know. I'm always a bit funny about those.
Maybe it's to appeal to all tastes or those entry peat
And do we always have to appeal to all tastes? You know what I mean?
No, I get
it. Branching out like so many.
But I think it must be a competitive market, so I do get it.
But again, saying it's not that I didn't like it. I did enjoy it. I just found it a bit something like I feel like I've tried this before.
Okay.
That was my thing.
Hey, random crap. I went to the cinema and I saw Wuthering Heights. Have you seen it yet?
No.
It's kind of weird.
I think someone said there was it disturbing or something?
I found it a bit disturbing. I quite like the story of obsessive toxic love, of the story Wuthering Heights. I like the book. I did at college and stuff. And I like Margot Robbie. I think she's fabulous. But it was a bit bulky.
Oh, if you feel that way, I feel like I shouldn't even bother.
It was a wee bit Baz Luhrmann as well.
Ah, okay.
I don't know. Not for me.
Okay, so let's move to Ballindalloch. I actually met Aidan Dunn, who works for Ballindalloch, the young guy doing their brand ambassador stuff in Italy. So he gave me these samples here in Florence. And even like his family has been in the whiskey industry for 7 generations and originally established in the Ben Nevis distillery back in 1825.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pure blood.
What I forgot to say earlier is the distillery has 140-hour fermentation, so very long.
Mm-hmm.
They also use traditional warm taps, but they run in a different kind of unique way. The innovation involves a closed-loop water system, meaning that the temperature of the cooling water is warmer than the traditional run warm tap. And this means that the spirit vapors are not condensed until they have traveled further along the 70-meter-long copper worms. And by doing this, they get more of the copper contact, so making it a little bit more delicate, complex spirit. And then the spirit will trickle down into the spirit safe. So let's try the vintage 2016, which is a combination of first fill ex-bourbon hogsheads, a barrel, like how it's like a barrel, and a high-strength first fill ex-sherry butt. And it's composed about 70% of ex-bourbon, and then 30% of sherry. Bottled at 49.5% ABV, 9 years old. Special for Italy, but this is kind of like example of the vintages that they also have in the UK at times. Obviously, like not too often or too many. I was getting toffee, red fruit, like obviously from the sherry, some porridge oats on the nose. It's quite light on the nose.
At first, I just found it quite grassy. Now it's been had the air in it. I'm finding it sweeter, like a caramel apple pie with vanilla pod, but still a wee hint of grassiness.
Mine's been in the glass for a while and it's definitely getting grassier. And I can kind of get the vanilla pod and somewhere mixed in something. The palate, ginger, white pepper, dry red fruits like cranberry, red currants, bit of vanilla, bit of caramel, some kind of waxy citrus peel thing going on as well.
Oh.
And I had this image of, I don't know, I want to say it was like cooked agave or something, that kind of, or jackfruit or something.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that kind of, the
texture
I don't know.
Of it somewhat aloe vera-ish.
No, aloe vera, like cooked,
like
you know, when it's
chopped aloe vera up and it's got that kind of gunky.
No, like, it's more like, because you know, like jackfruit, they've used instead of pork in some, say, like tacos or something, like the vegetarian version. Because, you know, like pork can be like streaky when it's
got it.
Cooked. So it's that kind of texture. But I don't know if the taste was agave or was it jackfruit or whatever, but I just had this image. I couldn't quite pinpoint what it was. I hope that makes sense.
No, I'm loving it. At first, I found it like licoricey and sherbety. There used to be this sweetie in like the UK, and it was like a big stick of licorice that you would lick and stick into this sherbet. But it's definitely softer now that it's been open, and I'm getting a lot of licorice, aniseed, and fennel and stuff today. So I don't know if that's my cold, but it tastes a bit sweeter now.
Mine has been in the glass for a while, and it definitely feels more like herbally or savory and drier. There's a lot like oak on the finish.
Yes, I would say definitely a dry finish.
Nice, but like I feel like I preferred it more last time I tried it. Again, it goes back to the where you are and the situations. I feel like it was sweeter and more toffee-like. Okay,
I was expecting it to be sweeter.
So I chose, because I was sampling stuff when I met him and like had to choose a few samples just for the episode. I chose this because I think you will love this, but you know, obviously, I don't know now with your cold.
I think I will
think
love
this is like, this had your name all over it.
Well, the colour is just calling me, and I can smell the most from it of them all.
Well, this is the 2014 engraved Oloroso Sherry cask. So engraved means the bottle has been engraved and stuff. It looks all fancy. Cask 106, matured for over a decade in a single Oloroso cask and bottled at cask strength at 61.3% ABV. And this is also available in the UK from their website. I think maybe even some shops, but definitely on their website I checked, so it's still there. Also, by the way, some of these Ballindallochs, they have a website for US as well. If any of our listeners in the US are interested, have a look. I don't think the selection is huge, but it's a small farm, obviously, so they don't have that much stock.
I'd like to hear our American listeners say Ballindalloch.
Each of these bottles, because it is all like engraved, you can have a special message engraved by a Speyside artist. So this could make a nice gift as well. I'm not sure about, I'll go with my nose against straight first, and then you can decide.
Yeah.
So mince pie, the Christmassy the British thing. It's not like a minced meat, but the dried fruits. It's like medley of dried fruits. Coffee made in those Italian style mocha things, I was getting molasses and pecan pie on the nose.
Oh, delicious. I get the most of today's drams on the nose with this one. I was getting a toffee sauce. I got coffee beans. Then I was thinking of, I had the joy of eating a cake made with miso caramel recently. It was making me think of that. And like a rich chocolate fudgy sponge.
Yeah, it's nice.
But definitely coffee.
Yeah, for sure. Palate is obviously very sherry. This is like your traditional Speyside sherry bomb, I think. Almost like slightly makes me think of like how I would imagine some like old school Speyside whiskey to be. Red fruits as well, bitter, like very, very bitter dark chocolate.
Wareshness.
Bit of black pepper, ginger, hotness, warmness. Bit of Dunwich vibes as well.
Ooh.
You got the Dunwich warehouse and you inhale the smell with your mouth open. It like comes into your palate.
Not quite sawdust, not quite dark fresh air, not quite raw excitement, but something of those merged.
Yeah, and just the fumes of all their delicious casks.
Yeah.
And old wood and
yes.
Bit of leather in there. A super old leather jacket or a chair or something on the finis.
Very nice. I'm getting like a cherry cake sweetness, and definitely when you said bitter chocolate, I can have like a wareshness. Very much on board with your black pepper. It's got a lovely kind of warm baking spiciness, and it's feeling very comforting, and I think it's healing my cold.
Good. That definitely has your name on it.
And I'm kind of feeling like I'd like to be nibbling like sweetness with it, although it's a sweet dram.
Oh, like maybe something like chocolate coated nuts or some dried fruits or something.
Mm-hmm. Maybe those kind of honey coated cashews.
Just quickly also gonna say, I know we're not gonna review it right now. The podcast, what sample they gave us is 2015 Rupee Port release. Again, this was for Italy. Yeah, have just a quick sniff if you can get anything through. But this cask was chosen by Guy McPherson Grant, so the guy who started distillery for the Italian market, and it's their first ever Rupee Port cask release globally. I think they will have some Rupee Port coming up in the future, is my sense. Oh my god, the nose is unbelievable. Like I love it. Salted caramel, toffee, slightly burnt toffee. It's just so nice, and even the slightly pinkish hue in the color.
Yes.
It's so good. So save that when you...
Yes. I'm going to save that for when I have all my airway capacity.
Yeah. Also, like, if you ever feel like you got time and stuff, you can sample some of these which we talked about today. You could just do a few notes on like our Instagram stories or do a little post.
Yes.
Just a couple of little things and say, Inga was talking shit, actually tastes like this. Or, I can get on board with this.
Yeah. Or my previous notes were all lies because it actually, it tastes like this. Good idea.
Because I think especially some of them are like so right up your street. So
definitely
good to hear. Okay, quick recap before we have our whiskey pal coming in. Which one of the Lochlea was your favorite?
I'm going to say the second one, but to be honest, it was quite close.
Okay. And these ones probably, well, the dark briar. Yeah, it's more my kind of... It's maybe a little bit more seasonal, like autumn, winter, Christmas dram, but very nice. Also, like after dinner or something, I think. Look, my cheeks are getting all pink. I don't know if it's reflecting from my pink top, or is it the whiskey?
61.3% ABV on the last dram.
And these Ballindallochs, what you could taste, I guess the sherry is your favorite.
Sherry's my favorite. What about you?
Yeah, I think the sherry one. Although that's the funny thing, because I did enjoy the first one more the last time I tried it. So again, it's just like really depends. But I recommend trying something from them, definitely. And like quite different, kind of same concept, but still quite very different.
But very different sips.
And both are young. I guess, actually Ballindalloch is older because one of them was 9 and the other one was 10. And I guess that just refines it a little bit, I think. I don't know. Very different, which is interesting.
Nicola McRedmond.
Nicola, a very warm Whisky Sisters welcome. Please tell us briefly what you do and what your connection is to whisky.
Oh gosh, where do I start? So what do I do? So I started Drinkability about 9 years ago as a recruitment company in the drinks industry. For a long, long time back, I think my first recruitment job, I was faxing CVs. So that gives you a little bit of a hint to how old I am. So it was a sort of recruitment business in the drinks industry, very quickly found a niche and really enjoyed the people of the whiskey industry. I do a little bit in a couple of premium spirits companies, but it's 99.9% whiskey. So it's been a recruitment business. It's started to really evolve a little bit over the last couple of years, even in that I now do some coaching work with people. But it's like, again, it's quite industry specific. I'm not a leadership coach with an off-the-shelf offering. It's very specific to the business that they're in and the time we're at in the whiskey industry and all of these things. So it can be one-to-one individuals that I'm working with. I do some group workshops. On top of that, I've recently invested in a little whiskey business. So yeah, it's kind of growing arms and legs. A few other little pieces going on.
I feel
and
I love how you just gone with it and just it sounds amazing and super niche. Before we go more into detail some of the aspects of it, I just wanted to know the first whiskey you ever tried and which one was the one that convinced you that okay, this is something I really like or I want to explore more of.
Those are two very different times in my life and probably whiskies. I think like most people, I grew up with my grandpa drinking whiskey and it was Dewar's and Famous Grouse. And I thought it was horrible. And couldn't stand it. Didn't like whiskey. I'll never like whiskey. It's interesting because I think sometimes I laugh that I kind of am a little bit of a poster child for the new whiskey drinker or the next generation of whiskey drinkers, because I fell in love with whiskey because I fell in love with the people, because I'm in such a people-centric business. And there's honestly and I've worked in recruitment in accounting and finance. I've recruited people in call centers right at the beginning. And there's never been such an unbelievable industry than whiskey to be in a people-focused kind of side. So I fell in love with the people first. And then obviously through festivals and trade shows and going out to see clients at distilleries, I was tasting lots of different whiskies. Some of them I would start to enjoy, some of them I would obviously pretend to enjoy. But I think with obviously being a newer whiskey drinker, so probably in the last 4 or 5 years, the business has been going 9. Obviously, very much some of those gateway drugs is probably the wrong phrase to use. But a lot of the lighter styles, a lot of the sweeter styles. I really like a rye whiskey. I like a green. I'm still working on my peat appreciation, I'm going to be honest. But I think that translates even into my food preferences. I don't like anything, like smoked cheese or, bacon. I like really lemony stuff, or I used to carry around a bottle of Tabasco in my handbag. I'm that obsessed with spicy food. Probably the first whiskey that I liked a lot, I really liked the Rylaw from Inchderny when it first came out. I got a little sneak peek taste of that. That was my kind of introduction to this sort of obsession with rye.
Inchderny. Yeah, we actually mentioned it earlier. Oh, interesting. Yeah. Well, have you tried, just a quick side, Mitchers?
Okay. Yeah, so I think the first ever whiskey show, the Whisky Exchange whiskey show in London, the first ever one that I went for a little walk around with the MD of Inchderny at the time that I'd recently placed there. And he said, let's go check out the ryes. And I tried the Michters. And I was like, oh my God,
that's like how you say it. Beaver's, I mentioned it earlier because it's one of the ones that I tried this month that I've never tried before, and I was really surprised that I liked it so much, but I didn't know how to say it.
I don't know which one I tried because it was a few years ago, but it was like proper toasted gooey marshmallows, and I was like, oh my God, I didn't know whiskey could taste like this.
Yeah. Oh, good.
I went down this whole rye obsession. I mean, the Fielden from the Heart Cut release, the Fielden rye. I was like, this is. If anyone says to me, I don't like whiskey, I'm like, yes, you do. Try this. Just try it. Do you like salted caramel? Do you like the little dried banana chips? Try this. Because it's not what a lot of us, certainly in Scotland, I'm in my mid-40s now, back even as a teenager when you were trying anything alcoholic, a lot of the stuff I've tried back then was probably the worst thing you can try at first. I was trying Lefroy and, all these really heavy, smoky, and I was probably shotting it, which wasn't ideal. But yeah, and I've still like the Rylaw, their newest release Rylaw. I tried at the Fife Whisky Festival a couple of weeks ago. So good. Like, that really cheap yellow ice cream you get in Scotland. Is it Mackey's? I was like, oh my God, but it's like smooth, like that really vanilla, creamy, cheap ice cream. I love the Fielden. Anyone who comes to my house, I'm like, try this whiskey. I am venturing into some smokier styles. Like I like the Lochlea bottling Heart Cut did because it's unpeated, but it's slightly smoky, but it's still super tropical and very, very light.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like all the Lowland stuff, like your Glengoynes, and I like a sherry cask. I like things that are light. I like things that are sweet. And I am on my peat a smoky journey. I'm trying.
Love that. And you've just mentioned Lochlea. What are your thoughts on the distillery? Any kind of favourites or particular thoughts?
They're a distillery close to my heart because they're a very good client of mine. So I placed, I think, one of the first employees there and have over the last 7 years placed majority of their team. So I know the business very, very well, kind of from the inside out, people wise and culture wise, and through their journey. And I just think it's just talking about sort of farm distilleries, going out. I love driving out to Lochlea. This kind of sense of calm comes over you, and you pull up in the driveway, and Neil McGeough, the owner's kids are going around on bikes, and there's a dog running around, and the owner's out with his beanie on, rolling casks off a lorry, and I think it's just incredible. And I think in terms of what I'm hearing that people, particularly I think newer whiskey drinkers, want to hear about now is, it's all those tick boxes. It's provenance, it's sustainability, it's a real family working and living on a farm. The liquid's beautiful. I placed John Campbell there a few years ago, and then I then placed his successor, Gillian Boyd. So they've had some unbelievable blenders for the size and age they were as a business at the time. They've had some really talented blenders in, but I think Lochlea's such a special place. And there's a couple of similar kind of farm distilleries, we'll call them, that I also work with, like Arbiki, for example.
Yeah.
I know Lochlea very, very well and all the people there. So they're very close to my heart, I suppose, emotionally, and I'm really invested in the business because I'm so invested in everyone who works there.
Yeah.
But I think their liquid's very, very, very good as well, particularly for such a young distillery.
That's nice. So do you have a favorite release from them? Like now they have the new core range. Obviously they have the new 7-year-old as well. Like anything that...
Do you know what? I would love to try the 7. And I tried again at the Fife Whisky Festival, actually. I ran up to the stall and Alex, the ambassador, was there, and I was like, please tell me you've got some 7. He was like, nope, it's all gone, it's all sold out. I've got none. I'm desperate to try their 7. But I've got in my glass at the moment the bottling that the Heart Cut did of Lochlea, which was it's in ex-Isla casks, so it's slightly smoky, which is we didn't like it, but it's like slightly smoky in a way that you're having a beach in the Bahamas, not in Glasgow in COVID with the fire pit on and everyone smells like smoky bacon. So it's really nice. It's a really light smoke, and actually I feel like this again will be my entry into starting to appreciate some of their styles.
Well, the core range, the smoke without fire. You don't happen to know which ex-peated cask is, because normally they say ex-Isla cask, but they don't say Isla. And the peat is it reminds me of the sweetness of Ardbeg. But then I was thinking, could it be Ardmore or Benriach maybe? Do you happen to know? No. Couldn't find it anywhere. It's like, oh, I don't want to know. But it's definitely like easy.
The bottle, the glass I'm drinking just now is ex-Islay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I think the batch 3 was ex-Islay.
But yeah, no, their core range is fab, and their branding's fab, and the people. As I said, I know so much about the people behind a lot of these brands. That's where my world is, which kind of really makes you appreciate just the kind of the agricultural product that it is. You look like a brand or a business like Lochlea or there's many brands like that are not technically farming distilleries, but they work so closely with specific farmers and specific grains and how they produce. Obviously, the length of time invested and the passion and the hard work and the care and the detail and the complexity of it is, whiskey just doesn't really sit alongside any other spirit in my eye. I'm biased, but
no, but I think with that kind of, when you have that connection and when even for people visiting distilleries or having any kind of closer experiences with the people who work in these distilleries, you kind of just appreciate the whiskey differently. Maybe sometimes it's something that you don't necessarily like initially or you don't know much, but then, when you meet everyone or you go to the location, it just opens up this whole new array of flavors and
all that emotional connection to it. And I think that's why, like in Darnay, for example, who've never had a visitor centre, you can't visit here, are now opening a visitor centre because they understand the importance of people being able to come and actually experience the site and the distillery and meet the people.
Exactly. So
and all that experiential side again, I think is so important to the newer wave of whiskey drinkers who are not got traditional ties to specific, I only like Islay whiskies or I only like whatever. They want to really get under the bonnet of it.
Yeah, and I think these days anyway, the regional or like whiskey regions aren't really, if you just say you like Islay whiskey, you like Highland whiskey and stuff, it's kind of mute point. It doesn't really work these days. Everyone is trying to do different things. So, but you briefly mentioned that you've invested in whiskey. So would you tell us a little bit more about that and why did you choose to invest?
So I recently invested in the Heart Cup that Georgie Bell and her husband Fab. And again, I think as that kind of newer, whiskey drinker, I had been speaking to obviously a lot of people over the last couple of years, 18 months, where whiskey is probably in a slightly less comfortable place than it has been. And it's just so interesting hearing, different people's mindsets and approaches and all these things. And I went up to their stand at the whiskey show. And the first dram I tried was their Fielden. And it just blew my brains because at that point, English whiskey, I don't know if I'd obviously tried the mixers, American whiskey, etc. And then when I actually got to know their business a little bit better and the way that they worked with distilleries, they only work 100% directly with distilleries and choose the casks themselves. They don't work with brokers. But they were showcasing smaller producers from across the world. And it kind of just opened my eyes to, you're not meant to call it world whiskey anymore, but their whiskey, their Starboard whiskey from Melbourne, I loved. And my husband has polished off that bottle already. He's an Aussie, so I think just because it was Australian, he was like, I love it. They've got, whiskies from America, obviously some beautiful Scottish distilleries, English distilleries, Dutch distilleries. And I was like, I just really loved the fact that they were opening people's eyes to whiskies from different regions and what they were making them taste like. Yes, Scotch is the blueprint or however you want to call it, but it's just the flavour profiles of all these whiskies was just so different to what I ever understood whiskey to be, and their ethos and everything. And when the opportunity came up to invest in the business, I jumped at it.
Well, congratulations. I even just love the name and the branding is pretty cool as well.
Yes. So it's just, as I said, it's started as a recruitment business, then coaching. Now I've got obviously an interest in what they're doing and it's making me, I always try and keep myself educated so I semi know what I'm talking about in whiskey. But it's just really, really interesting. It's just another kind of string to my bone, another way of looking at the industry but it's really opening my eyes to what's happening globally in whiskey as opposed to just Scotch whiskey.
You mentioned we're not meant to say world whiskies. I'm always out of touch with what to say and what not. Do you know what we're meant to be saying instead?
Well, it's just whiskey now.
Oh, okay.
Because back in the day, it was Scotch whiskey. Like world whiskey was like everything else.
Got it.
There's so many distilleries popping up in so many different other countries now. It's now just whiskey. As in, like, we don't own the monopoly anymore.
Okay, yeah,
we
definitely.
Do, right? But the AWA reports. I was at this whiskey conference yesterday, but it's whiskey.
Nice.
It's rather world's whiskey being like all those other ones, but we're Scotch. You know, world's whiskey. It's just whiskey.
Yeah.
It's Irish whiskey, English whiskey,
Nordic
whiskey,
whiskey, Scandinavian whiskey.
Just whiskey.
Yeah.
Nicola, are we right in thinking that your brother is the co-owner of Wolfie's Whiskey together with Rod Stewart, Rod the God, as he's somehow known?
Yes, he is.
That's so cool. And can you give us some insider gossip about Rod?
Yeah, did it influence your kind of whiskey? Had your brother had anything to do with whiskey before, or were you in the whiskey biz first?
He had. He had worked in drinks most of his career and had his own businesses more around sort of brand activation and things like that. So he was coming again from quite a different background. He had a whiskey prior with, the guys from Still Game. He had a whiskey here in Scotland called Jack and Victor.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that all over socials.
Which was really interesting, and it did well with, certain groups of people. And then he, to be honest, I think through a mutual obsession with Celtic Football Club, he somehow met Rod. He's one of these people, he just has these, random amazing things happen to him. Met Rod, pitched the idea of let's do a whiskey, and next thing you knew, it was happening. So it was all very surreal. My little brother was suddenly about to launch a whiskey with Rod Stewart.
That's brilliant.
And yeah, they're doing really well. He travels left, right, and centre. Again, it's just really different. He's really not following the traditional whiskey mold of how they advertise it or brand it. It's very rock and roll. It's put it in a cocktail. It's blends are great. It's obviously close links to music and rock and roll. So
I love that. Yeah, I actually did a collaboration with Wolfie's once, and I totally embarrassed myself, and I was singing in my reel and everything. It was really, really bad. And I made a cocktail.
Wolfie's aren't going to judge you. They're not that kind of business.
I know. Like my friends were messaging me like, "Oh my God, I'm watching it and repeat. You're just like so bad. That's funny."
It's nice that you and your brother are total movers and shakers in the whiskey world, both in your own ways.
Totally different. I don't know if I'm a mover and a shaker. He moves and shakes.
Come on, you're here than everywhere.
You're like a super alchemical puppet master in a good way, and putting people here, there, and everywhere. Amazing.
Yeah. That's so good. But I mean, what better industry to do it in? The people are all fantastic, mostly fantastic. So, but yeah, no, and it wasn't kind of by design. I was kind of recruiting in whiskey, as I said, 9 years ago till now, and next thing Duncan was doing a bloody rock and roll whiskey with Rod Stewart. It's totally surreal. Me and Mum and Dad were going, sorry, you're a private jet with who? Going where? To do what? But yeah, he's doing amazingly. He's proper entrepreneurial, huge energy, really passionate about it, and sort of does amazing at anything he turns his hand to.
That's nice. So if anybody's got opportunities out there, you bump into a celeb. Shybairns don't get any sweeties, so just be bold.
100%. Duncan is not a Shybairn.
What advice would you give to people applying for jobs in the whiskey biz?
Oh God, that's a question I get a lot.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, again, it's a funny time. It's very, very busy. I'm very busy, which to be honest, I'm as surprised at as a lot of people, because the whiskey industry is having a more challenging time than it has done previously. And there's, people you see in the press, there's the bigger corporates are laying off people, and there's redundancies. But I think because my client base and my network tends to be more your small to mid-size producers, a lot of those distilleries are really taking the time to invest in their teams and bolster their teams and really coming out fighting, which I love. So I've had the busiest 18 months to 2 years ever. The jobs obviously look slightly different, or they're looking for a very specific skill set. But what I will say in terms of people looking to get into the whiskey trade, quite often I've placed many a person, say, out of hospitality, for example. I think all the best people in the world start in hospitality. I worked in hospitality in Glasgow for years. But also from other industries. I've seen people come from banking. I've seen people come from IT. The beauty of the whiskey industry is that the people are so warm and welcoming. I think people from out with whiskey can sort of think, oh God, I'm not part of the gang, or it's a bit intimidating. What I would say is just to get out and immerse yourself in it. Nobody likes the word networking. I don't even like the word networking, but there is so many whiskey clubs, trade show, festivals, tastings, barrel top tastings in shops. There's so much opportunity to go out and immerse yourself in it and actually meet the people who are working there now and actually start to build up a little bit of a group of friends. And they're always delighted to speak to you, pour you a drink, tell you how they get into the industry. Well, I'm a big advocate for people in whiskey hiring from outside the industry because historically it's been quite a insular sector. You know, the amount of times I'll have roles come in, you know, recruit for this. We need someone from whiskey. Obviously, in certain role types, that's true. But I think at a time like just now, particularly, bringing people in with completely different experiences, who've worked in harder industries, who have some good resilience, is imperative. I think diversity brings resilience and strength. So good recruiters going out and building your own network or a group of friends, immerse yourself in the industry. It's a unique industry whereby you can go out and actually meet a lot of people in the industry through all these types of events.
Yeah.
And the people are all lovely and they're delighted to speak to you. And half of them are nuts and they'll pour you a drink and this is what I did. And let's keep in touch. And people are so warm.
I guess it also just, even if you are just maybe not getting a job in the industry, but want to learn about whiskey, it still applies for that. Like people, I definitely agree with that. Like loads of people just want to chat and tell, you know,
people are dying to tell you about their whiskey and their story.
There's still maybe this idea or this vision that like whiskey industry is not very welcoming or is very snooty. Like, you know, if you don't know anything, you just should keep your mouth shut. But I actually don't think that applies at all anymore. Like, really don't.
No. In 9 years I've been working in whiskey, it's changed so dramatically and is now changing at a rate of knots.
Yeah.
Because the landscape is changing. The consumers they're trying to target are changing. So they need diverse backgrounds and ways of thinking. And I come from an interesting perspective because I don't work in a brand, but I work with so many brands and I'm talking to them about their plans and their people. And I think that, you know, the brands and the companies that are welcoming to diverse thought and different backgrounds coming into their business and all these things are, as well as, you know, some bloody good fighting spirit, to be honest. I mean, are going to come out the other side of this in a really good place. There's so much opportunity in this, you know, time of diversity. So I think now is the time to get into whiskey if you're not in whiskey now, in my opinion.
Nicola, you can refuse to answer this question if you like, but is there something that your clients would never guess about you from your professional persona? Something that you could share with us?
No, I couldn't possibly. Oh, I don't know. To be honest,
putting you on the spot.
To be honest, I think it's one of these things. I think most people potentially underestimate, and you guys will know this yourself when you're out in public and you're on and you love meeting people and all these things. It can give off a certain personality type. Yeah. I think what probably most people would maybe underestimate is how emotionally invested I am in the whole bloody thing. To be honest, I think that's a recruiter thing. I mean, I'm happy to say I'm a recruiter. Am I a big fan of recruitment agencies? Not really. There's a lot of recruiters out there who give recruitment a bad name. But you know, I think just the sheer hard work and emotional investment you've got. I mean, a lot of the candidates are clients I work with now, and they've been both. You know, I've placed them in roles and then I've hired for them. I've known them for years at this point, and it's. I think a lot of people maybe underestimate, how genuinely emotionally involved I am in these people's lives. Because at the end of the day, yes, I'm talking to them about a role or a career move, but it's people's. I never underestimate that. I'm dealing with people's lives. It has to be right for people. So
that makes me want to watch a wee 6 months behind the scenes with you.
Yeah.
Day job.
Yeah, that would be a good TV show. Actually, that was a really good answer because I would have said something like, I like to watch Kardashians or something like that. I'm like a sucker for really horrible,
I like funky presenters. Yeah.
Yeah, I come across really rock and roll, but I'm actually really soppy and watch sad rom-coms and
I know.
Yeah.
And I think actually I genuinely actually quite shy and reserved I am. I've got quite a short social battery, and it's great to go to all the trade shows and the festivals and all these things, but I've definitely got a limit. I think certainly when you work for yourself, so you're just there on your own a lot of the time,
Yes.
and you are very odd. And I love speaking to people, and I get my energy from people, but I then need time on my own, and I'm walking into a trade show by myself.
Yeah.
Of course I do.
Mm.
I'm one of these people that is actually quite horribly shy and can be quite socially anxious, and then you put on the face of whatever it is you're doing, the drinkability face, but actually I can find it really hard and really intimidating as well.
I think that's
Yeah.
helpful for people to hear, and I think we can relate to that, Inca, can't we? When we're
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, when,
Oh,
Yeah.
walking around a whiskey festival on your own is terrifying, but as I said, you don't need to go up and say something impressive to people. You just go up and say, "Can I try your whiskey?" And you start having a chat with them. You just ask people questions.
yeah.
It's such a easy environment to do that in. I don't know about many other industries where you could walk into a show like that and would be that easy, to be honest.
So we're coming to our last question. We're not going to keep you any longer, although we would love to chat with you even more about next time in
Well, I could
person
chat all
in
night.
a nice little cozy pub in Glasgow, and we can actually sip whiskey and just talk.
I was actually doing a little bit of my research because I'd listened to your podcast before, and I thought I'll listen to a couple more. And I listened to one yesterday with Billy Abbott, who's a friend of mine.
Oh, nice.
And we were talking about, because I do these things, I have these great ideas because I've got no filter, and I go, right, we're going to do this idea, let's do it. And I don't think, and I just run with it. I'm going to do one distillery a month this year, and we're going to just see a series of it on socials, one distillery a month. So now I'm going, oh shit, it's March. Who am I going to go see? And embarrassingly, I've never been to Glengoyne, which is probably the closest distillery to my doorstep.
So good.
And lots of good friends there, and I've placed lots of people with the Independent Distillers. And I think it was yourself, Jen, was saying, God, I've not been to Glengoyne.
Yeah.
I'm going next week.
Yay!
That's
Yes.
it. I'm booked.
Honestly, if you have the chance to do the blending glass, honestly, I would recommend.
Yeah.
It's so good. The whiskeys that you try when you're making it and stuff, it's just, oh my God. I don't have words. I just love them. So good.
They are good. I do like their whiskies.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you're going.
I know, I'm ashamed to say I've not been. My husband's been about 3 times. Every time he gets a visitor from Australia, he pops them in the car and takes them up to Glengoyne, and I've never bloody been.
Yeah.
And I'm the one that a client of mine, and I work in whiskey.
I know, and you can
Yeah,
actually get a bus from Glasgow as well, so it's easy. There's no excuses.
I know. It's embarrassing. I shouldn't have admitted it out loud. But.
So, your dream dram, who would you have a drink with? Someone famous, dead or alive, and which dram would that be?
Honestly, who would I most like to sit and have a few drams with and enjoy that would be Billy Connolly. I grew up with Billy Connolly being on in the house. I remember my parents going out to Billy Connolly concerts and coming home and just having been in distress with laughter the whole night. And my grandparents watching him, and I just his sense of humour and I think he was a Glasgow shipbuilder, as was my grandpa. And I adore that man. I think he is the funniest man on the planet. I think that's why I've got a slight. I know obviously everyone loves Dave Broom. I love Dave Broom, and I've met him a couple of times, but I think I particularly love him because he kind of reminds me of Billy Connolly. He's like the whiskey Billy Connolly.
Yeah. Oh, I love him as well.
He's the
so
same
nice.
like cheeky giggle and everything. Oh, it's great sense of humour. So I'm going to say Billy Connolly back when he was drinking, because I know he doesn't drink latterly.
Yeah.
And Dream Dram. Depends who's buying. If he's buying, I would say the Rose Bank.
Yeah, like 32, yeah.
Rose Bank 32 if Billy's buying. Because that's amazing. If I'm buying, I'd still splash out because it's Billy. I would probably, it has to be Glasgow. I'd probably say Glengoyne 18.
Nice.
That is my favourite, and it's delicious.
Oh, have you tried the White Oak, by the way?
I have,
Oh, I
yeah.
love that one as well. It's nice. Bit different.
Again, embarrassingly, I've tried so many of their drams when my husband goes to the distillery on one of his many trips, and he brings me back little tasting. Yeah, I think that would be a dream dram with a dream dram pal.
Perfect. Yeah, I like that.
Thank you so much for sharing your time and those insights. I didn't realise the depth of all that you do, and I was impressed already. Thank you so much.
Not at all. Thank you so much for having me.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Whisky Sisters podcast.
Okay, lovely listeners. Next month, we will expect you to listen again. Come on, do it, and please tell your pals. And so we've not been begging you to leave reviews and things, but particularly if you're on Apple, please leave us a 5-star review because it's super helpful and things. But next month, we will be back and we will be diving deeper into American single malts with a guest appearance across the pond.
Ooh, very exciting. And I give you a hint, it's a female whiskey maker. Something a bit different. And we did say at the beginning of the season that we will explore further afield from the Scotch whiskey. So this is it. It's coming.
I was going to say, and we don't break our promises, but that's not true.
Yeah.
A lot of shit. We have good ideas and we're well intended, but they don't always come to fruition. But that will be happening.
That will happen. We're actually doing quite well on Apple Podcast in Kazakhstan.
Thank you, Kazakhstan listeners.
Yes, and in Norway as well, which is amazing.
I wonder if Morton Harkett has listened, because I was obsessed with that when I was younger.
Who's that? Is he the guy from the blonde tall guy?
No, that's Mags. Morton has
my pal, Mags.
And the other one was called Pal. I was obsessed with that. Me and the other Jane up in Mull. Follow us on Instagram at whiskysisters.podcast, X at Whisky Sisters, and Facebook at Whisky Sisters Podcast, and send us a little message and tell us how your day is going.
Well, thank you for that, Jennifer. I hope you feel better soon and can resample some of these samples and post your tasting notes on Instagram. Come on, Jennifer, do it.
I will be sticking my nose as soon as the airways are opened. All right, sugar. Until next time, may your glass be full
and your dram on fire.